The situation is critical. The situation is critical for France and for the French people. The situation is critical because we have arrived at major crossroads. For France and for the French people, the choice before us is fundamental. This presidential election may well be amongst all the elections organized in the past decades, the one where the question of the French people will need to answer will be the most decisive. I have described this election as a choice of civilization, and this choice can be summed up in a simple way. Either we choose to take the side of France, of the country as we love it, and we dream it. France that assumes herself without trembling. France that imposes herself without submission. France that doesn't shy away, France that doesn't yield, France that wakes up, France that will rebuild itself free for its children. Or we give up. We give up on believing in France, on thinking about her future and her greatness. We give up on wishing for a people a future that will overcome present-day errors, today's backing down and slow descent towards the abyss. We give up on being ourselves, a people shaped by its history, its art, its culture, its laws, a people acting as the guardian and the driving force of its art de vivre, which makes us the envy of the entire world. I never thought France could abdicate. I never thought the French people could give up. I always kept faith in France. There is no good reason that could push the French people to abdicate.
Qui pourrait conduire les Français au renoncement. Il y a à l'inverse suffisamment de ressources et d'énergie.
The French people have enough resources and energy to always lift them towards pride, hope and confidence in their own genius and in their own strength. Several times in their history, the French people have had to overcome challenges. They always rose to the occasion, faithful to their love for France, even faced with horrendous sacrifices, including the sacrifice of their lives. This loyalty to their homeland has always triumphed over doubts and hesitations. If France is so beautiful, so admired around the world, and so inspiring, it is because she always wanted to express her ambition to the world and to go beyond anything that could have been laid out for her. It's because France has always known how to overcome a challenge. The surrender I denounce is what describes many of the candidates in this election. I describe those candidates who ultimately do not believe in France anymore. It described the puppets of the system, those candidates who are not here by coincidence. They are here, opposite us. It is because they are the candidates of the renouncement. It is because they accept the shameful mission of saying no to France. They will not openly admit this to you. They will not highlight it. But I am the candidate of France and of the French people. I cannot stand it any longer to hear them repeating that France is powerless, that France is too small, and that the French people are not brave enough and are reluctant to work. This is just a huge and also very painful lie. I am deeply French, deeply patriotic, and deeply aware of what my country can and should do. I have confidence in France, and I am going to tell you frankly what I think. France is too great and too beautiful for them. If we think about it, this presidential election is like no other. Ultimately, this election is a referendum, for or against France. A referendum to choose between the lies of self-proclaimed elites on one side and common sense, as well as the legitimate ambitions of the people on the other side, between defending their interests or defending your own interests. A referendum to choose between the national path on one side or savage globalization on the other. Do not be fooled by the tricks of this campaign. Do not listen to those who tell you about left-wing or right-wing or the center. All this is fake. All this is an illusion. In this election, the system simply wants the French people to accept being dispossessed of their democratic power, of their wealth and of their identity. Thus, the system wants France to continue being burdened by uncontrolled and unrestricted immigration. Immigration is not an option for the system. It is a dogma, and it is also, honestly speaking, very good for business. Low wages for multinational firms, clients for mass retail, and votes for socialists. But a staggering cost for the French taxpayers. Their motto is,
privatisation des
we
profits,
privatize the profits
mutualisation
and
des
we
coûts
share
et
the
des risques.
costs.
Leur messe est dite. Il est
I
grand
believe
temps, me
it is high
semble-t-il,
time
que les
for the French
Français
people
reprennent
to
le
take back the
pouvoir
power
et qu'ils
and that
récupèrent
they
aussi
also
leur
take back
argent.
their money as well.
Ne leur suffit-il pas
Aren't you
déjà
fed
de
up with
travailler
working
encore
harder
et
and
toujours,
harder
pour voir leurs revenus
and
baisser
seeing one's income
pendant que les
shrink,
profits des
but at
grands
the
groupes
same time
explosent?
that the profits of big
Président de
business
la République,
explode?
je le serai pour
Once
tous les
elected
Français,
President of
mais
the
pour
French
eux
Republic,
seuls,
I
je
will
ne
be
me
the President of the French
résoudrai
people
jamais à
and only
accepter
for the French people.
l'inacceptable.
I will never be
Je
forced
considère
to accept what I
qu'un
consider
gouvernement n'a pas le
unacceptable.
droit
To me,
d'accoutumer
a
le
government
peuple
does not have the
français
right
à la
to get the
violence
people
et à
accustomed to
l'insécurité.
violence and
Les
insecurity.
gouvernements successifs, UMP
We
ou
will
PS,
see
appréhendent
in the successive
l'insécurité
governments,
endémique
whether
qui
left
frappe
wing
notre
or
pays
right
avec la
wing,
même
they all
négligence,
treat the
la
endemic
même
insecurity that strikes our
désinvolture que le
country
chômage
with
de
the same
masse.
negligence
Dans
and
un
the same
pays où
nonchalance
l'insécurité
as they
du
do mass
quotidien se
unemployment.
dispute à la barbarie du terrorisme
In a
islamiste,
country
il y a
riddled with
urgence
insecurity
à
and
rétablir
barbaric
l'ordre.
Islamic terrorism, it is urgent to restore order.
Cet ordre républicain pour vous,
This Republican
pour
order,
nos enfants,
for you,
pour l'idée
for
que
our
nous nous faisons de
children,
la France et de la vie
for the
en
concept
France,
we share of
je le
France and of the French way of
rétablirai
life,
sans faiblir.
I will restore it
Je le
without
rétablirai
wavering.
d'abord par la réaffirmation de
I will restore it
l'autorité
first by
publique.
reaffirming public
Rarement la
authority.
France, dans son histoire, a été si peu
France,
armée.
throughout her history, has
Certes, nous
rarely
avons
been
encore,
so
mais pour combien de
disarmed.
temps, notre force
Of course,
de
we still
dissuasion.
have, but for how long,
J'entends
our
parler
nuclear
d'un projet
deterrent.
funeste qui consisterait à
I hear voices who
partager
talk in
cette
favour of a
dissuasion
gloomy
au niveau
project
européen.
which would lead to sharing our nuclear
Ce serait
deterrent
une folie.
on a European scale.
Et
This
un
would be
crime contre la
madness and a
France,
crime against
sa
France, her
sécurité,
safety,
sa
her
puissance
power
et son
and her
indépendance.
independence.
Cela fait des décennies
For
que nous
decades
dénonçons
now,
les dérives
we
totalitaires
denounce
de
the
l'Union européenne.
totalitarian drift of the
Et il
European
est
Union,
absolument hors de
and it is
question
therefore out of
de
the
permettre à
question
cette
to enable this
technostructure
supranational
d'accéder à la
technostructure
moindre
to
capacité
access to any
militaire.
kind of military capacity.
Cela constituerait une menace
This would mean an
intolérable pour
intolerable
les
threat
libertés
to the
fondamentales des
fundamental
peuples.
freedom
Je ne
of
peux
the people
évidemment
of Europe.
parler d'économie sans rappeler, comme je l'ai
I
fait,
cannot possibly
en
talk
toutes
about
circonstances,
economics without mentioning, as I do in all circumstances, the necessity to preserve our French model of family farming, which is under continuous threat of the all-out attacks by disloyal international competition. The common agricultural policy has become just that. It refuses economic patriotism and has the scarcely hidden purpose of transforming our farmers into workers on large agricultural enterprises driven solely by maximizing profits. This French agricultural model we defend is a fundamental element of our economy, our economic vitality, as well as being essential to the vitality of our territories. My program for reindustrialization, for helping small businesses, retailers and self-employed people will enable entrepreneurs to courageously recover the conquest of our town and city centres. It is high time to launch the revolution of proximity, to which all the French people who still believe in our villages, our small and medium towns aspire. Those who still believe that we can and should be able to live a good life and full life outside of Paris, Lyon or Marseille. It is my will to redefine in a clear way our administrative grid by suppressing 3 territorial levels out of 6 and to maintain the state, département, the county, and the municipality, which will allow the mayors to take back control over the territory they best know. I stand for a bright, vivid France, in which all regions shall express both the natural quintessence as well as their regional particularities. I will not abandon any part of France, neither its peripheral territories, which are prone to desertification, nor its urban areas, which are undergoing a process of standardization. I will fight so that France can be radiant, from her coasts to her centre, from her mountains to her lowlands, so she shines again, united and sovereign. Fellow friends, giving up, defeat in the face of savage globalization, in dealing with radical Islam, in dealing, in fact, with all the evils we face, let us leave this kind of defeat to our opponents. I, myself, I will not give up. I am just like you. I feel the overriding obligation to meet the challenges that France is facing. I am just like you. I do not trust the political class anymore, which has sold itself to so many interests that are contrary to our own. But I have confidence in France, I have confidence in the French people, and I have confidence in our common will. I have confidence in our courage and in our good judgment. We deserve our freedom, we deserve our security, we deserve our prosperity. We deserve to enjoy our immense cultural wealth, to be able to defend our identity and to pass on this legacy to our children. We deserve to take our destiny back into our own hands. In the name of the people, long live the Republic, long live France.